Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Corey Rosen, and you're listening to the Story Podcast. Today, I have on a super awesome guest, Mr. Cody Ross Smith. Cody Ross Smith is a singer-songwriter from the central Pennsylvania region, playing a variety of new country, old country, and rock and roll, with influences stemming from the likes of George Strait to Lynyrd Skynyrd. Cody's sound is genuine and heartfelt, leaving his audiences wanting more. Cody is a seasoned performer, having played at various bands and over the years, and has just recently embarked on a solo career in the spring of 2022. His career thus far has allowed him to be featured on various local radio and television stations. It has also taken him to Nashville, where he has played and had the opportunity to not played, just had the opportunity to attend the 2022 CRS seminar, as well as perform at various honky tonks around the town, including the local. He is also a nominee for this year's Best New Artist Band category at the 2023 CPMAs, which is this Thursday, by the way, so be sure to go and check that out. Cody has performed approximately 78 shows in 2022 and is looking to capitalize on that number in 2023. With his soulful live performances, he continues to give and keep fans on their toes and turning heads everywhere he performs. Cody, how you doing today?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm a little hyped up if you can't tell. So, tell me, Cody, where did your love of music start? You said you have influences of George Strait and Lynyrd Skynyrd, but do you have like the first memory of when you like heard music and was like, "Oh, I want that"?
Uh, Not specifically. I mean, I grew up in Central PA, and mainly on two radio stations. My mom was a big Bob 94.9 fan, and my dad was 97.3. So
Mm.
I got the best of like 90s country and the best of classic rock, southern rock, and that's really what influenced me the most. As far as like, what music do I want to play and perform and write, and that's what I've listened to my entire life. So
And so, when did you decide that you wanted to do music as well?
um I've always had a guitar in my hand. um like they make those like Fisher Price ones where you like you just push buttons and it makes noise.
Hmm.
I had one of those when I was like little. Didn't get my first real guitar. I want to say I was like 12 or 13, I think. Um, and it was an acoustic, and took lessons for about a year. And unfortunately, my guitar teacher passed away, so that kind of ended that. But from there on, man, I he taught me something really valuable, which was how to listen to a song and kind of learn by hearing something, and trying to pick things out, and just play along with stuff, and you know what I mean, try to find the right key, and that's something super valuable that I've used a lot. And actually, my wife actually just brought it up the other day. She was like, I don't know how you can just listen to something and pick up your guitar and pretty well know what the chords are already, or you know what I mean? Like just start jamming to it right along with it and everything. And yeah, I'm super proud that I was taught how to do that. And I mean, I guess it's not so easy for everybody, you know. It's just um it's a it's a talent, I guess, not to toot my own horn, but
Well, no, your training is very important as a musician, especially if you want to be able to improvise or just hop along. You need to be able to, um, at least in a certain key,
mhm,
understand where the chord is. If you're on a
right.
1, 4, 5, whatever.
Yep.
But to have like perfect pitch or almost like, oh, I already know that's an A or
Yep.
something like that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a talent. Not a yeah. That's a gifted talent. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah, man.
So
But anyhow, yeah, that's my first real guitar was like 13 years old, and uh took did like guitar club in high school. And the first band I was ever in was actually, I know this is kind of off the wall, but it was actually a pop punk band. So I kind of lied when I said all I listened to was country and southern rock or classic rock. But yeah, first band I think I was like 15. Uh,
What was that like as a 15-year-old?
um, fun, man. I'm not gonna lie, I was played. It was just a trio, and the other two guys were brothers, so practice was really easy. I would just go to their house and we would jam and um, played played as much as we could for being, like 15, 16 year olds. We were together for a couple years. Um, we did like basement shows,
Mm.
like at their parents' house or like my parents' house. I remember one time we played pouring down rain, um, and still like all our friends showed up and like we were getting like shocked because it was raining and we were just like, are we gonna get like electrocuted here soon? Like it was no, it was a good time, man. Want to fondest memories, you know what I mean? Like first band I was ever in. But yeah, it was cool.
Did you ever, like, end up writing originals in that band, or when did you start writing your own music?
Not in that band, because I played bass at the
Mm,
time with that, and the front man was writing all the lyrics, and I was coming up more with like the music.
mhm.
He'd write something and be like, "I got this idea," and he'd start spilling the words to me, and he's like, "And I'm kind of thinking I want it to go like this," so I just start blasting some power chords, like kind of like Blink 182, Green Day type vibe, Um, but I didn't start writing my own music. Um, dude, probably I was like early 20s, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, didn't really uh, didn't really have that like bone to think that I could even write an original song until I got to, like I said, like early 20s, and like recorded my first EP when I was like 20, I don't know, 23 or 24. Um, but yeah, now, it's amazing. I listen to some of the older stuff that I wrote, you know, back then, compared to the stuff I write now. And it's just a total, you can tell the difference, like the process, like just a little more maturity as far as
Right.
like being able to like tell a story, where before I can just tell and that like the experience wasn't there and it's just really like green, like but it's definitely, I was told that, songwriting to get better at it, it's like anything else. Like you need to
Gotta do it.
practice it and just keep doing it and doing it, and it'll just start to flow so much better, and songs will start making more sense, and you know, but
Yeah, one thing, that a lot of songwriters do is, like, or even writers in general, is they block out a specific time in the day, and only if they force themselves to write. And, first off, it challenges writer's block because you gotta force yourself to write. It doesn't matter about what. You
yep,
just write something.
yep,
And actually, that's an acting technique too. I don't know if you knew that, of where, you go into a room by yourself with a notebook and pad and pen or whatever you wanna do and just start writing without thinking. Just start writing.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and it helps you get your subconscious thoughts out of you, and you're like, "Oh, wow, I didn't even know I thought that." And that stuff turns into songs all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So what were you doing in that, like, 10 years of, you first picking up into a band and then, creating your own music?
So Uh, my first band from my first band, in high school, I listened to a lot of, heavy rock and heavy metal, um, and I was actually in 2 other heavier bands, before I really started, like, playing country and, more Southern rock stuff. I was still listening to all that, but I was playing, metal stuff, like
Right.
and, I like, when I would go to the it's music's like you have different moods, like um happy, sad, angry, whatever. Like I was listening to metal when I'd go to the gym, and when I would leave the gym, I'd turn the radio on and I'd be listening to Skinner or country. Like I
Right.
just, but at the time, I just felt like playing metal was just like where my heart was because I still have a soft spot for it, believe it or not. There's so much energy behind it, when you go to like a heavy metal show, like um, that I I was I was just like infatuated with that energy of seeing people like, dance the way that they do and like mosh pits and stuff. And when you're up on stage looking down on it and you're playing something that's just making everybody go nuts, like
Gotta be a good
yeah,
feeling.
yeah. But yeah, I didn't really start playing country and writing and stuff until I was like early 20s. Um uh started started going out to local bar, like I turned 21,
Mm-hmm.
started hitting local bar scene and stuff, and uh there's not a lot of metal going on at the bars that I was going to. It was a lot of country and stuff, and I was like, I wonder if I can play country. And also that was like about the time that I started singing and playing guitar, because up until that point, I was mainly just either playing bass or playing guitar, period. I wasn't playing and singing. I was just a guitar player for the most part.
Right.
There was always a front man, and that that talent of being able to sing and play at the same time, I didn't like I said, I didn't really start developing that until I was like my early 20s. I had dabbled around with stuff like my first acoustic guitar. I would try singing. I think the first like acoustic song I ever sat down and tried to sing and play with was a "Time of Your Life" by Green Day. I think I'm almost sure of that. Um, and then I think the next one was like "Take It Easy" by the Eagles. It was like the next acoustic song that I learned. But yeah, a lot of it, a lot of who I am now and the songs I play and everything didn't really come around until like early 20s.
So what from there? You write these songs. What do you do with those?
Uh, most everything most everything that I've ever written has been recorded. Um, there's a couple that haven't because songs there's like one good one out of like every 10 that you
Right.
write, like they're not all winners, you know what I mean?
That's right.
And you definitely you definitely have to like be real with yourself and tell yourself that, like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, like you might personally think like, I think they're all great, like they're all great, but there's really only like one out of this batch that's like worthy of putting the money in,
Full
putting money and
production.
time to produce it and get it recorded. Um, so yeah, there's tons of songs that I've written and have forgotten about. But at the same time, I don't know how many songs I've recorded. Like I think I did like two EPs back in the day. And just started recording these new singles within like the last year and a half or so. Since I started on this solo trip and really putting my head down and trying to make a good run at it.
So tell me about why you decided to go solo.
Um, the band that I was in prior to going solo full time was Whiskey on the Rocks. I think they're actually called Chasing Whiskey now.
Mm.
Um, great band. I had great times with them. We did a lot. We played a lot. Um, met a lot of awesome people and made connections. Um, but I just, I decided that I wanted to get my songs out there as well. And It just felt like, just felt like it was time to kind of make a move and, make a shift. I did, I think I was with them for like 3.5 years, roughly. So, I put time in and yeah, just decided that I, I wanted to make a run at, being a solo artist. And here I am.
Well, what are the main differences that you find, or challenges that you find from switching to a band to a solo act?
Uh, the fact that, you're solely relying on yourself. So there's not a lot of room for error,
Sometimes
like
it's a blessing and a curse.
right. The band scenario, there's little things that can be covered up, or if you miss a note or whatever. Most of the time, 99% of the time, nobody out there is going to know that you missed a note or a chord or or a key change, whatever it may be. Um, but being a solo artist, there's just less room to mess up. It's
Hmm.
it's not as easy to kind of hide little things like
You're more
or
exposed.
right, or like forgetting lyrics. If you
Oh yeah,
forget lyrics, you're there's
get a jam
there's
out by yourself for a
yep,
little bit.
yep, there's no real hiding if you forget the words. Especially if it's to like a real classic song, that like everybody knows and loves.
At that point, you just stick the mic out towards everyone
Yes,
else.
yes, yep. All right, you guys sing it.
You guys are good.
Um, but other than that, man, it's just it's a different responsibility. Um, and yeah, I do have I just started getting a band together again, under just under my name. We've had one show already, and we're just going by Cody Ross Smith Band, because we kind of felt like everything else was just too much of a mouthful. Like we had a lot of ideas like Cody Ross Smith and the Big City Slams or something like. Uh, and yes, that is a Letterkenny reference.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we're sticking with that for now. And they're guys that I've played with previously. Um, so we're all friends, and I trust these guys to be behind me and put on a good show. Um, and uh we're not going to be overplaying. um that was one thing that I felt like in the previous band that I was in, that we were just overplaying just playing too much, really, in general, especially just around central PA. You know what I mean?
Mm,
There's only so many spots that you can hit, so that starts to affect your draw. And businesses, they hire you to,
based on your draw.
right, to perform. And one of the first questions is, what kind of draw do you have? What kind of crowd can you bring? Well, a good one. But unfortunately, like, if you play here, uh play wherever on a Friday or Saturday night, and then the next week you play right down the street,
Right.
your draw is probably not going to be as good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you're playing Tellus one weekend and then you're playing Fan the Power the next weekend, it's
It's probably gonna, yeah, or even like a Friday, Saturday night scenario where you play somewhere Friday night, uh, and then play 15 minutes away on Saturday night. It's you
that's
know what I
not
mean?
gonna happen.
So my thoughts, and the guys are on the same track as what I was thinking. We're only gonna play like once or twice a month, and we're doing that to try to help the anticipation and to help draw the crowd wherever we're playing.
Marketing, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for sure.
And I was told a long time ago, you don't, like, you should really only be playing a venue once every 3 months, like once every quarter,
Really
to try to,
hype it up.
yeah, give it, have a great show with a great crowd. And, everybody wants a packed room,
Right. That's good advice, actually. Yeah.
so that's the model that I'm going after, is just not to overplay and try to play to packed rooms every time the band plays. And at the same time, I'm still playing solo shows, as much as I can. Pretty much every weekend, I'm playing. So.
So are you gonna separate this band as apart from your solo project, or?
Oh no, it's the
Oh,
same.
it's the same
It's the
thing.
same
Okay.
thing. It's the same thing. Um, the band is kind of like the band is just reserved for if the right opportunity presents itself. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. If you're playing
Um,
at a festival, you want a band as
right,
opposed to just a
right,
bar in front of the town.
right. Exactly. And it just kind of makes me slash us just more versatile. You know, if I get an email or whatever from a venue asking about, are you a solo act? Are you a duo? Are you a trio? Are you a full band? You know, I can literally say I'm all of those. Like, what do you need? What are you looking for? What's your budget? Like,
Whatever you need.
yeah, yeah. I'm just, and it's it's how I stay busy. And so yeah.
So what are you personally working on now? Are you working on more songs? Are you working on playing out more, or what's the next project for you?
Um, it- Definitely more songs. That was my goal for this year, was to try to write as much as possible. I really did. I played about 78 shows last year. And I know and I don't quite honestly, I don't know how some guys are playing like 100, 100 to 200 shows, and I felt like 78 was a lot. Now maybe that's because I really didn't start until like May or June.
Mm.
That's when that's when I separated from the band I was in and put my head down and everything, and just started making my own phone calls and emails and everything, and my schedule just started, building and building and building. So really, I guess if I'd have started from the beginning of the year, I probably could have been up there in like the 100 plus shows. But yeah, my goal this year was to try to write more songs and get more songs out there and available to people. Uh, I don't currently, like, I'm not in the studio right now. I'm still just I'm writing. I'm trying to find what the next single should be.
You're laying foundations for what's to come.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So between that and playing and trying to stay busy, playing live, because it's a part-time job at this point. You know, I it, I it's become tax worthy. You know what I mean? Like I have to do all that now, and
It's a business now.
yes, it
Yeah.
is. It is. Um, and the I'm super happy. The wife is really supportive.
Always
The
good.
family's supportive.
Always good.
Because obviously a lot of late nights and time away from home, and um, but yeah, it's my I I guess long story short, to answer your question, I really don't have any like specific projects I'm working on right now. I have a lot of stuff that's in the works. And when I say that, it's just I
Like,
I have a lot going on outside of writing and playing out. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of conversations um that are
it's a lot of talk.
are on the
Yeah.
schedule to, yeah, if
Yeah, it's
that
a lot
makes
of
sense.
talk.
There's some
Yeah.
phone calls that I need to make, and people to talk to that could be very beneficial.
Yeah.
Put
Just
it that way.
planning. A lot of
Yes. Yep.
planning.
And obviously the CPMA is coming up on
They
Thursday.
are.
Uh so happy and pumped for that, being nominated. I think I saw there was like over 4,000
Yeah.
4,000
People that submitted to be
yeah,
nominations. Yeah.
yeah. So just being nominated in itself, and congratulations,
Thank
by the way,
you.
you're nominated as well. So just getting the nod for a nomination is awesome. But obviously, if the if the cards fall in my favor, and can walk away with a win, that will mean so much to me personally. And definitely um help I guess
Legitimize yourself and
yeah,
validate
have
yourself. Yeah.
right, have something to kind of brag about, or just, you know what I mean, use as a tool to try to book,
It's
bigger,
like
better shows,
it's like getting a degree. It legitimizes that you can actually do something.
right,
You've done something with that.
right,
And that's something that I'm really happy that the CPMA does, because musicians, especially local musicians, don't have anything like that
right.
besides the CPMAs that say, oh, even the ISSA's the International Singer Songwriter Association is based down in Georgia,
Hmm.
or there's one in New York or whatever. There's nothing from around here, so it's really nice to have an award program that. And this isn't to say that anyone's better or worse than anybody at
Right,
all.
right.
That's not the point. The
It's
point is recognition.
Yes, yep. Recognizing and making your presence known,
Yeah,
like, here I am, this is what I do, and it's good for business overall,
yeah,
and
and even being nominated is an accolade in of itself,
mhm.
especially for something like best new artist, because there are so many new artists coming
Yeah,
up every single year.
yep.
So even being nominated, I think you're nominated against like 6 or 7 others,
Uh,
something like that.
I think so. I honestly can't recall off the top of my head. I do know that I looked into every single one of them. I had to. I was like, all right, what's my
What's
competition like?
what's my competition,
Yep, you
right?
got to do that, and it's
See what people are
definitely
doing.
if I would win, it's going to be a blessing, because the my fellow nominees in the category, man, their socials are up there. They have original music out there. Like, it's gonna be
It's
it's gonna be
tough.
tough. Yeah.
And that's another great thing about this area, is that even with all of the award categories, it's all tough.
Yeah.
There's all of these bands are doing extremely well. There's a
Hmm.
reason why they're nominated. It's not nominated for a lack of quantity.
Right.
These musicians and acts that got nominated are in like we said, but it's not competition. There's no best or worst.
Right.
But if it were, these are really tough people to go up against and say, okay, who did more? Who produced the highest quality, so whatever, or quality and quantity of whatever,
Hmm.
or who did the best this year in terms of whatever. There is a lot of competition, and there's a lot of great music out here within each of those categories,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited to see who wins and get to hear the performances of the inductees.
Yeah.
So and you can be sure to go over to what is it, cpmhof.com, and get your
I
tickets.
think that's what it is. Yeah. And there's I know tickets. There's very few left.
Very few left. Yeah, be sure and go grab them. It's going to be a great night. And if not, you can always go to the after party at
Hmm.
the Englewood over in Hershey Park, right across from the theater. Anyway,
That
so
place is awesome, by the way.
it is
If
great.
you haven't been there.
I went there to St. Patrick's Day to see the Kilmaine Saints.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
very nice venue, and very aptly to go on St. Patrick's Day to
Yeah.
see the Kilmaine Saints.
Yeah.
So we have a few of your songs here. I'd like to go into them a little bit. Tell me about Stomping Grounds.
Stomping Grounds. So I wanted to my idea, or I guess like the way that I kind of want to write and I want things to sound. I've been calling it Southern Country,
Mm.
because I'm trying to encapsulate Southern rock and country, um, just and give it, that's the sound I'm trying to chase.
Right.
Um, and because I want songs to be relevant, because I want people to listen to them.
Right.
Um, and I also want to kind of like stick to my roots. People, uh, there's a lot of fans of both genres of music, in this area. It's
And they overlap a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Um, so anyhow, Stomping Grounds, that's what I really chased after, was to try to have like relevant like lyrics mixed with like a southern rock kind of musical sound, you know, the guitar work and um but and my man Tyler Atkins at Rock Mill Studios in Mechanicsburg, dude, he without me even really describing how I wanted the song to sound, the first draft or demo that he sent me, I was just like, I was floored. I was like, this is exactly how I pictured it. Like, you know, he awesome job. And he actually he recorded That's My Grandpa as well.
Oh,
And
nice.
same thing, man. You know, I didn't have to go into detail about the sound I was chasing. He just put it all together and uh you know, that the product, you know, the song speaks for itself. It sounds amazing. Um
Tell me a
but
little bit of the story.
so so back to Stomping Grounds. Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
mean to get off track. Stomping Grounds is just about where I grew up, you know. I tried to tell a story of you know, where where I grew up and some of the not, I guess, not memories, but just, you know, stuff that kind of sticks out from you know, being like a teenager and growing up um what a lot of people would probably call the middle of nowhere.
Mm.
I grew up back a quarter-mile dirt road, and you know, my dad had an old Ford truck and um wrecked it one time. And
So you were born a country singer.
yeah, yeah, bonfires every Friday and Saturday night. You know, I got those good old I got plenty of material, I guess, or plenty of ideas for good country songs. Um, but yeah, that's Stomping Grounds, man. It's I'm really proud of it. I think it's probably one of the best songs, you know, that I've written lyrically. Um, and yeah.
Well, let's take a listen. This is Stomping Grounds by Cody Ross Smith.
There's an old dirt road that takes me home, a sweet southern song that saves my soul, a honky tonk town where I grew up, and a damned old turn where I wrecked my truck. With no trespassing signs and no stoplights, where everybody works hard and the fish are gonna bite, and take it on the chin or take it to the bank, can party all night and sing a little Hank. These are my stomping grounds, from the holler to the city, oh, country fried roots and a little bit of hippie. My stomping grounds, yeah, we blue collar proud, keep a shiny side up, your dirty side down. It's 5 o'clock round here all the time, everybody's kicking back where the moon's gonna shine in my stomping grounds. Yeah, these are my stomping grounds. There's an old Ford truck sitting in the drive, just a-waiting on me in a Friday night. Gonna turn it up loud and watch it all burn, getting redneck rowdy, y'all are gonna learn. Yeah, these are my stomping grounds, from the holler to the city, well, country fried roots and a little bit of hippie. My stomping grounds, yeah, we blue collar proud, keep a shiny side up, your dirty side down. It's 5 o'clock round here all the time, everybody's kicking back where the moon's gonna shine in my stomping grounds. Yeah, these are my stomping grounds. It's just a long neck away from them city lights. You cross that mountain, yeah, you're gonna find. Well, these are my stomping grounds, from the holler to the city. Well, country fried roots and a little bit of hippie. My stomping grounds, yeah, we blue collar proud, keep your shiny side up, your dirty side down. These are my stomping grounds, from the holler to the city. Well, country fried roots and a little bit of hippie. My stomping grounds, yeah, we blue collar proud, keep Baby, shine a sign up, get dirty side down. It's 5 o'clock round here all the time. Everybody's kicking back where the moon's gonna shine in my stomping grounds. My small town stomping grounds. My itty bitty stomping grounds. I love my stomping grounds. My stomping grounds.
And that was Stomping Grounds by Cody Ross Smith. So you went to Nashville for some reason. How'd you get down there?
Well, the first trip I took was not business related. It was just supposed to be like, pleasure.
Just go to Nashville, yep.
I play, country and southern
Go to
rock
Nashville.
music, but gotta go to Nashville.
Gotta do it.
Requirement. So yeah, me and the wife went, and it was the first trip. It was the day after New Year's. We flew down, and we get to our hotel, and we walk across the street, and just so happens where our hotel was, there's a nice little strip of bars and stuff, bars and restaurants right across the street. So we didn't have to Uber or anything.
That's nice.
So we walk across the street, and there's just trash everywhere. Bottles, cans, food wrappers and stuff. Like the trash cans are overflowing and everything.
Really?
Yeah, and it didn't hit me. It didn't dawn on me until I thought about it for a second. I was like, it's the day after New Year's. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? There
yep.
was a time last night, and the trash company just couldn't keep up, I guess.
I haven't tried.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But
That's funny.
and yeah, we went down there for pleasure, and I ended up playing I ended up playing at Losers right off of Broadway, Moxie, and there was one other one. I want to say, I think it's Big Machine Distillery. I think that's what it was. Big Machine Records, I think it's called Big Machine Distillery. I played a couple songs in there too. Yeah, man, Nashville is it's nicknamed Nash Vegas.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, because it's just nonstop, especially if you're on Broadway, man. It's just chaos.
It's so cool though.
It is. It's very. What really blew my mind was you start walking down Broadway, and I've heard these references in other country songs about how like the music pours out onto the street, and that is absolutely true.
Absolutely.
For like 3 levels of one building, like a 3-story building, each floor has its own musician or band that's playing.
It's a different genre.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Because I went down to Nashville on a road trip because you have to go, like we said. And I was walking down Broadway, and every 5 steps you heard a different song, and not even 5 steps. You could look one place and look straight up, and then hear a different song.
Yep.
And in a completely different genre, completely different whatever, and you're like, wow. This really is Music City, USA.
Yep. Dude, I think that first night, the wife ended up passing out. She was done for. So she passes out, and I decided to go back out on my own. And we're talking, it was after midnight for sure. And I just walk right across the street to this one place, and I walk in, and the band is playing Newfound Glory. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Because never being there, your preconception is just like in Nashville, it's going to be all country, all country music. Absolutely not, man. And I had a good buddy of mine, and I really wish in my 2 trips down there, I have not gone here yet, but there's a place called Printer's Alley, I think it is. And it's like a lot of jazz and blues, I guess.
Yeah.
And my next trip I'm gonna go. I have just been too busy with other stuff while I'm down there to have gone there. But he said it's amazing. Unfortunately, he passed away here at the end of January. But yeah, he told me, he's like, man, you want to hear some good blues? Go to Printer's Alley. And I love blues music too. So blues rock, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nashville. It'll eat you alive. Like you gotta have put it this way. You better have some money in the bank for sure, because it is not cheap.
And you better have a tip bucket too, I've heard.
Yeah. Yes. You play for tips.
Yeah.
That's out of a pickle jar. But yeah, I honestly I don't think I could afford to live down there. And I've heard other horror stories. Like I'm not sure of these numbers, but like just for like a single 1-bedroom apartment, is like 1,000 to like 1,000 plus, like if not more than that. It's outrageous, the cost of living to have a place down there.
Well, that's also everywhere right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine it wouldn't be anything else, because it's Nashville, it's a metro, and they're building.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've been there recently, but they are expanding.
I was down last year, February. I was down February last year. And you're 100% right. The development, I can like just it's weird, because I looked at it and I work in construction, that's been my full-time job pretty much my whole life. And I'm like, how are they fitting another building right there? Yeah. I started wondering that, like, and then on my my Facebook, my feed and stuff, I see a lot of stuff that goes on down there, obviously. And, and it's like, so-and-so to open a new bar downtown Nashville,
Right.
so-and-so opening a new restaurant, and I'm like, where? Like,
if you're on Broadway, there is no space.
right.
Not only are they expanding out, they're expanding upwards too. Because
Right.
I had this whole notion of Nashville as it's a saloon town with a bunch of music. That's what I thought it was.
Mhm.
I didn't expect to see skyscrapers when I went to Nashville.
Right. I didn't either.
And lo and behold, they're building more and more. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is becoming a little New York City.
Yep.
The country version of New York City almost.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's I encourage anybody to go for sure. You have to go at least once.
You have to go at least once and visit all the places, the Parthenon and the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah. That we did end up like I said, that first trip was more pleasure, or it was supposed to be. Anyhow, we hit the Country Music Hall of Fame, we hit Johnny Cash Museum.
Grand Ole Opry?
No,
Oh.
that is one. So we went to the Ryman.
Okay.
So the Ryman used to be the Opry,
Yeah.
and it moved, like, I forget how long ago. It's been, some time. But no, we hit the Ryman, and we didn't make it to the Opry yet. Hopefully, maybe the next trip. But I'll tell you what, man, between the Johnny Cash Museum and the Country Music Hall of Fame,
you could be there all day.
Both of those are. I got a very overwhelming feeling walking through both of those, especially when you start looking at for me, seeing like old guitars, ones that look like they've been through hell and back. You just start
ones that I've been through.
Yeah, you're just like me being a guitar player, I'm like, man, I want to touch that. Like,
I want to be a part of that. Yeah.
I want to strum on that so bad. But yeah, it's just I got a very like I said, like overwhelming feeling of just the history and the clothes and the
boots.
And the original oh crap, some of them like original notebook paper.
Oh
with lyrics wrote on them, like
that's incredible to have.
I blew my mind. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, with the songs that I write, most of them are on my phone. Like I don't. Sometimes I do use a notebook, but I'm just thinking like that's like an incredible piece of history to have. And
Because the chances of that are slim.
right, and
Where do you keep your songbooks?
right,
Do you
right,
know?
yeah. Like I, I honestly, I think I'm gonna start writing on paper more often. Just
Just in case. Right.
yeah. I'm just gonna start putting it on both places. Like I'll write it on paper and I'll put it on my phone, so that way I have, you know what I mean. Like,
Right.
um,
I've actually
but
started when I start writing songs, I put down the date when I start it, and then I put up what I'm thinking about,
right.
and then whenever the song is finished, because you forget about what the day or what you were doing exactly,
Mm-hmm.
the context around a certain song you were thinking about.
Yep.
Because I find that because when you look at it like 5 years back, you're like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah, man.
I'm so excited to go back to Nashville. When you go back, you should definitely check out the Museum of African American Music as well.
Okay.
They outline it's one of the best museums I've ever been to.
Okay.
In terms of efficiency and space wise too. It goes throughout all of like you have your black culture within the blues
Mm-hmm.
and this even goes back to spirituals and gospel
Right.
and makes its way into country hip hop and everything. And it's really interactive. You can make your own blues song in there too.
Nice.
And you get to hear about all the influences and experiences from the big black uh, what am I trying to think of? Staples of country music.
Yeah.
Like you get the Chubby Checkers, you get the I'm literally blanking on all black artists right now. You get Muddy Waters,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff. Those influences.
Dude, BB
Chuck
King.
Berry's, BB Kings, your
BB
Freddie
King.
Kings.
He
Yep.
was one of my favorite. Like I went on this when I was younger. I had this like phase where I was listening to a lot of blues and stuff. Like I was listening to Clapton and I was listening to Johnny
Mhm.
Lang, and BB King was in there. And like I have a now recently I've been listening to Gary Clark Jr.
Mm.
I don't know if you've heard of him or not. I highly recommend looking him up. But yeah, I've had here recently I've just had this blues kick again. Kenny Wayne Shepherd. That's uh, but yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'll put it on the list. The Parthenon, you mentioned that too.
Yes. Yeah.
So wanted to go there, haven't made it there yet, but that's
Great photo
another
opportunities.
goal. Like because I love like Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I don't know. So I don't know if you quite remember. Back in the day, there was Xena, warrior princess on TV,
Mm.
and there's also Hercules and um, I watched a lot of that growing up, and I don't know if that kind of sparked my interest in it. Like then I just started watching like anything that had to do anything to do with it.
I definitely had my mythology phase as well, where you
Yeah.
go into Norse and Greek, and it's also
Yeah.
interesting. The stories are wild,
Mm-hmm.
but really interesting,
Yeah.
and all the culture and everything in the Parthenon. It is an incredible experience. You look at it at pictures, and you're like, okay, whatever. But then you go there, and it's massive,
Right.
man. And
Is there? So here's a question
all
because
right.
you've been there. In Percy Jackson, they go there,
Mm,
and there's a huge statue when they first walk in of is it
Athena.
Athena? Is that real?
It's in there.
It is.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
gigantic, and it's I had my artist friend who went to art college with me, and she was like, "Yeah, that's actually really accurate to the time and space of what it would look like." And it looks a little disturbing because art wasn't they had different styles back then.
Right. Right.
But it's fantastic. It's gold and it's just it's one you look up and you're like, oh wow, this is what people like were worship
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah. Right.
And then they have like statues and other like pieces of the Parthenon there too.
Okay.
I don't know. I highly doubt the original, but replicas, whatever.
Right.
But it's really cool. It's a really cool experience. Definitely recommend and to go there and not only just to see it, but as like it's a really cool photo op. of a country singer in the Parthenon.
Right. Yeah, I've wanted to go. Just haven't made it there yet. There's a list of things outside of like music that I want to do. Like the next time I go down. I was supposed to go back down. Was supposed to go back down in March for there was another CRS conference. And unfortunately just couldn't make it happen.
What is the CRS?
Country radio seminar. It's basically all the like program directors and radio personnel or whatever, they go down there, and there's on top of a whole bunch of artists being there, they do showcases, and they actually have, like real seminars about I guess just like newer marketing tools, and do you know what I mean? Just kind of tip like there's speakers and stuff,
Right.
And they go through all that kind of stuff. But like I said, at the same time, there's a ton of artists that go too. Oh my God. I've gotten to meet like Scotty McCreery.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I can't even think right now. I was about 5 feet away from Cody Johnson, but I was too much of a girl to say anything to him because he had like 4 or 5 guys around him, like an entourage,
Right.
And every single one of these dudes is big old cowboy hat,
Big bad mother.
snake
Yeah,
or
right.
gator cowboy boots, like just very intimidating, like bull riding type guys. And I just like, I chickened out on, going up to him, hey man, huge fan, or giving him, a business card or something, like,
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, man, I got to meet Chris Young. He's a cool guy. He actually bought me a shot.
That's nice. That's cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah. I offered to buy him one at first, and he turned around. He was just like, "Nah, man, I got you." And
I got both of us.
yeah, I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, "Yeah, your bank account's just a little bit
A little
deeper
bit
than
bigger,
mine."
yeah.
So, yeah, man. But yeah, the CRS thing, like I said, I really wanted to go this year. There's a lot of there was a couple other local artists that were down there. I saw pictures and stuff. So it's really cool. I'm glad and happy for them that they got to go and experience it, because I don't think they ever have. So I'm sure from pictures, like I said, it and I know personally it's an awesome time.
Mhm.
Not, first of all, getting to shake hands and meet, some of these people that you hear on the radio and TV and stuff, just, and idols essentially,
Right, yeah.
depending, but yeah, hopefully next year. I have a lot going on right now, that my schedule just it wouldn't allow me to go.
And
So
speaking of that, you had your second release just come out. Was it recently or was it a few weeks ago? That's my grandpa.
yeah. That's my grandpa. I released last year. I want to say June or July. Yeah, June or July, I think it was. It took me it took me way too long to put out another new song, Stomping Grounds, and that just had to do with time and money,
Yep.
studio time, and but yeah, I wanted to get Stomping Grounds out before the end of last year,
Mhm.
but unfortunately it didn't work out, so I ended up sitting on it and dropping it the end of January of this year. And I released another single the end of February called Not Thinking Twice.
Mm.
And you can find that one anywhere you download and stream music as well. So officially I have three professional singles available on all platforms right now. So
Nice.
I kind of dropped them back to back, which may have not been the proper or right thing to do. I don't know, but
It's done.
yeah, I said my goal, this year was to really try to write more and get more music out for people to hear. I think my goal before the end of this year is to probably have like 2 more singles out. I think that's a pretty good goal.
Yeah.
So
So let's hear this song and hear about your grandpa. Do you want to say
That's
something
my-
about your grandpa? before?
Sure. So this this is another this one really hit home. I lost my grandpa about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Or no, I'm sorry, that's completely wrong. It's been like 3.5 years. But I had a lot of inspiration to sit down and write this one. And just, a lot of emotion and things, things to sing about. And I tried to pull as many memories or, just make the best song possible about him,
Mm.
and I actually just today I looked on YouTube, and I saw that Grandpa's is actually it's past, I think it's at like 1.2 thousand views, I think,
Right.
which doesn't to some people, I'm sure that's not like a big deal. But
you.
for me personally, I'm happy and impressed by that. So whoever's listening, thank you. Keep listening. I appreciate it. But yeah, again, man, I think this is probably one of my better songs, and just telling a story. So
Let's take a listen. This is That's My Grandpa by Cody Ross Smith.
I remember hunting and fishing for so many years with a man I've known my whole life. It brings me to tears, and all the stories he could tell you, from the Navy to the law, or the time he was driving too fast and threw out my grandma. No, I'll never forget all the things he did, or how I wish that I was still a kid, and I can still hear them pipes playing Amazing Grace while they're folding up that flag, and tears are rolling down my face. Well, I'll crack open a cold one and do a shine of the Lord, 'cause this one's hurting me more than a double-edged sword. Well, I didn't think I'd make it through it all. I guess he answered the good Lord's call. Well, that's my grandpa. A whiskey in his hand and a lip full of skull. We recite them old westerns like they were parts of our soul. With so many memories are weighing on my mind, and my grandma will tell you men like that are hard to find. Well, I'll never forget all the things he did, or how I wish that I was still a kid, 'cause I can still hear them pipes playing Amazing Grace while they're folding up that flag, and tears are rolling down my face. Well, I'll crack open a cold one and do a shine of the Lord, 'cause this one's hurting me more than a double-edged stopped loving her today. And I can still hear them pipes playing Amazing Grace while they're folding up that flag, and tears are rolling down my face. Well, I'll crack open a cold one and do a shot of the Lord, 'cause this one's hurting me more than a double-edged sword. No, I didn't think I'd make it through it all. I guess he answered the good Lord's call. Yeah, that's my grandpa. Yeah, that's my grandpa.
And that's my grandpa by Cody Ross Smith. Cody, we're kind of running out of time here, so I got a lot of questions that I like to ask all my guests.
Sure.
And we've talked about one of them. What is one of the worst or funniest things that ever happened to you on a gig?
The first one that I love how I made that just sound like there's been multiple. Because there has been. I'm sure there has been. Just nothing too like detrimental though to my career. But
Right, of course.
but anyhow, the one that really sticks out, the band that I was in at the time, this was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. We played Gettysburg Rocks.
Mm.
Down, I can't remember the venue name. It was like right outside Gettysburg though. And I thought it was a great idea to go to a gun raffle all day long before I go play this show. And I don't know if you're familiar with gun raffles around here, but essentially, you pay anywhere from, I don't know, I think the ticket was like $10. So you pay $10 and you can eat and drink all day long for free.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
yes. So it starts at like 11 a.m. I think. And there's raffles going on all day long. And it all benefits local fire companies. So I decided that it was a good idea to go to a gun raffle all day long before this show. And definitely partaked in maybe a little too much
Partying.
yeah, a little too much sudsy drinks, and end up going down to play this show, and all the guys, the rest of the band meets me there, and I'm the front man in this band.
Oh no!
So
Worst person to meet.
I had a little bit more responsibility than a lot of the other guys, but anyhow, ended up taking a little tumble about halfway through the show, backwards, like not forwards, not fall forwards off stage. I fell backwards off stage because there was like a oh my gosh, like about a foot or so between the back of the stage and the wall that was there. And then the stage was only like a step up, like a step up stage. But I stumbled backwards, knocked over my lead guitar player's amp, which was brand new that he got for his birthday like the weekend before. Luckily, thank God, the amp was fine and I was fine. I just took one bad step backwards, and if I recall correctly, I think I like stepped on a cable or something, and I tried to like adjust myself and lift my heel up or something, because I'm in cowboy boots all the time.
Right.
And I just
lost balance.
Yeah. But it's, I definitely falling in reverse, not falling forward. I fell in reverse off of the stage once.
What do you do? What? You just stop for a second, or do you keep going?
Nope, I kept going. It was in the middle of the song. As a matter of fact, I think we were playing Freebird.
That's really funny.
And
That's really funny.
I got into it and a little too into it and just lost my balance and fell backwards off stage.
Tried to be a bird and fell.
Yeah. Yep. There's no flying for this guy.
No flying for that guy. That's funny.
But nah, dude, everybody was cool about it. Everybody got a good laugh.
It happens.
Nothing got broke or, but it was the end of the. I think I said it was halfway through the set. Now that I'm talking about it, it was the end of the set because we ended with Freebird, and I just went nuts. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
Playing
right,
guitar
right.
and just so
that's good. If anything was to go wrong, it's good to have it at the end of the show.
Yeah, yes, yep.
So, what are some of the you've been doing this for like years? What are some of the things that you wish you knew when you first started?
Definitely know your limits.
Know what you are, not what you're not.
Yes. I've always been humble too. I would say that I wish I was more humble in the beginning, but I've always been that way. I've tried to never take myself too seriously and think that I'm better than anybody else. I'm the guy that puts myself at the bottom of the totem pole, and doesn't really hold myself. I don't hold myself high at all.
Regard, yeah.
So when people, compliments and criticism, I take it all in, and I try to stay as humble as possible. But I don't know, man. Just like I guess just know, I wish I'd have known my my limitations a little better, I guess, in the beginning. And when I say that, I'm kind of talking about, like, for instance, the story I just told about, drinking all day long and then trying to go play a
Right.
show, like thinking like, oh, I'm a rock star. I can handle it. Yeah.
Fine.
So yeah, like that's kind of what I'm referring to, because there was I can remember another time with the last band that I was in, we all of us, wasn't just me, it was all of us. And we were green yet, man. We were just coming on the scene, and we play this show at one of the bigger, better venues up outside Harrisburg, and we get to it was towards the end of the show, like third set, and the band name was Whiskey on the Rocks. Well, guess what? Everybody
Had a Whiskey on the Rocks.
everybody thought it was real funny to keep buying us shots, just
Right.
to like test us, and we just took it too far, and ended up getting shut down. We had a couple songs left, like I think we only had like maybe 15-20 minutes left in the set, and the management told the sound guy to cut us off.
Wow.
So yeah, we got shut down because we were all so
Pretty
sloppy
sloppy,
at that point that, if the front man was forgetting words, the leads were terrible. Everything was just off. So yeah, we got shut down on that one. That's the only time. That is the only time that I've ever been like cut off from playing. You know what I mean? Like,
that's good.
so yeah.
Totally.
Well, see, so definitely like learn your lesson scenario,
yeah.
like learn. So when I say limitations, that's kind of what I'm referring to. Like, know your limits. Like you have a responsibility to put on a show. You're essentially an employee of wherever you're playing at that,
Right, yeah.
so you got to take it
Seriously.
a little more seriously. So
Yeah, and I would apply that too, because this is another one of the advices that one of my professors gave me was to know what you are, right? I know that I'm a piano player. That's what I do. But I know that I cannot play anything that Mozart or Beethoven ever wrote or Bach ever wrote. I'm not going to try.
right.
And to know yourself that way, know yourself technique wise, know yourself. Okay, what can I do? Because as a person like me, I'm doing emceeing now. I'm hosting different shows,
Right.
whatever. Apparently, I'm really good at that. I didn't know I was good at that. But as a performer, a singer, I know I've come to the harsh realization, despite how much I love writing songs, I can't sing.
Right.
Even though that's something I can work on.
Right.
I just know that that's not for me at this point,
Right.
and just to know that and accept that too.
Yep.
That's something. Another great application of knowing your limits and knowing when to rein yourself back in
Mm-hmm.
and really focus on what you need to be doing.
Yeah, I totally know where you're coming from, because there's artists and songs that like I would love to cover, but I don't feel that I'm doing them justice, So
Right.
so I have to tell myself like, all right, I can't do this. Like Cody Johnson is a prime example. Between him and Chris Stapleton are two guys that are very hard to cover.
Right.
For me, you know what I mean? I've tried, and a lot of times, there's songs that those guys do that I want to play and cover at a show, but I just don't feel that I do it justice. And you just have to tell yourself, like this, this isn't going to work. We're going to have to move on and kind of, give up on it,
Right. Well, where can people find you? You have some solo shows coming up and all, or?
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Every date that I have, including band shows, are listed on the Facebook, Cody Ross Smith, or Cody Ross Smith Music. Either one will take you there. It's kind of funny because when I first made the music page, for some reason, Cody Ross Smith Music would take you to a dead, like a dead page. Like it would literally say this page doesn't exist.
That's so weird.
But if you typed in Cody Ross Smith, it would take you there. Well, guess what? Now, if you,
It's the opposite
I'm
way?
pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure you
wow.
can type in either one and it'll take you to the music page. But anyhow, yeah. So all the dates are on Facebook, whether they're solo shows or band shows. And yeah, man, my calendar is it's busy. I'm not gonna lie. Still have plenty of open dates though. So in case anybody's listening or watching, if you're a venue or know somebody that's looking for live music, whether it's a party, I do private parties as well. So by all means, shoot me a message or an email.
And with that said, my name is Corey Rose, and this is the Story Podcast. Be sure to check out all of our upcoming stuff. We have a really busy week ahead of us. Tomorrow, we have Glenn Hollenbach, who is another country guitar. He's a country guitarist. He plays in multiple projects. I don't know if you know of Stephanie Grace from Reading, Douglasville area.
Yeah.
He plays with her, and he plays with a bunch of other bands, and I'm super excited to talk to him and get all of his insight. He's also one of the managers at Tone Taylor, so I'm excited to talk about that too. So
I've heard about that place.
Oh, it's great. And Lidditz, it's great.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
It's a more specialized guitar center. I'd put it that way.
Nice.
Maybe
I'll stop on my way home.
Maybe. And
or probably not open. It's Sunday.
That's true. On Tuesday, we have Eric Worsing, who is one of the members of Solar Federation, a great Rush tribute band that's also up for a CPMA. So I'm really excited to talk to him and what goes into making a tribute band that has actually, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying this, but they have played at a Rush concert themselves. They've opened up for them.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm really excited to talk to him about that. And then Thursday, as we have been saying throughout this entire podcast, is the Central Pennsylvania Music Awards. So be sure to go there. You can catch me there. You'll catch him there. You'll catch about a lot of the people that have been on the show there.
Yep.
And you'll catch some really great music and just a great time of meeting awesome musicians. And I recommend this even if you're nominated or not, you should go, because making more connections is the way to make it in this music industry.
Yeah, and it's definitely if anybody's thinking that it's just for
it's not.
It's not. There's plenty of it's open to the public. You know what I mean? Anyone
can buy tickets.
Yeah, anyone can go. It's just a huge event.
There's gonna be vendors and stations and
yep.
It's gonna be incredible. It's one incredible night of music. Even if you're not nominated, just go and check it out.
This is I've been there every year since it started, and it's been awesome to see how it's grown, because they started at the Whitaker Center, and then I think it was just the next year they moved it to the Hershey Theater. Maybe it was after 2 years. But yeah, it's an awesome night, and pretty sure there'll be a Facebook Live. So if you can,
if tickets do sell out, there will be. So that's what they said.
Yep.
So yeah, if tickets do sell out and you can't go, check out the live. It's gonna be. I already know it's gonna be a great night. And then this Friday we have Stephen Courtney returning. He is one of the area's. He's also up for CPMA. He's also one of this area's greatest child songwriters. He has 5 songs on Sesame Street.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he has his own award-winning TV channel series, and that's what we're going to be continuing on that podcast. We've already had an episode with him detailing his vast life so far. We've only gotten barely half of it. So we're going to keep going on with his story, because he's got a lot to talk about, and I'm really excited to, how do you make children music that is successful like that, because I don't know how to do that. And then this Saturday we have we have nothing, because I've got other stuff to do. And yeah, that looks like it'll be about it this next Sunday we'll have Conrad Fisher, who actually, you know Conrad Fisher?
I don't know him personally, but I've heard his name, and I've listened to some of his music and stuff.
He's a great Christian artist from the Harrisburg area.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, he's having a concert tonight in Harrisburg at the New Hope Church. And I'm actually going to be emceeing that. It's going to be my first MC show.
Nice.
Hosting and etc. And that was actually offered to me by someone within the CPMA organization as well. So even knowing people in there is going to help you get more opportunities.
Yeah.
Because they're not afraid to help network you with other people. So another reason to go. With all that said, I hope you guys have. Oh, there's more things I need to announce. Please be sure to check out, if you're an artist then you want to start collaborating more with artists in the area. We're starting the songwriter studio. That's what I'm calling it. I'm getting 3 or 4 other musicians in the area, putting them here in this room, and we got 1 hour to write a song.
Okay.
And we're not going to fully produce it. Well, the plan is to fully produce it.
Right.
But here we're just going to write down a song, get it all out, and it'll be John Milosich, who has an accordion, Cody Tyler, who's a country singer, songwriter.
Yeah.
And we got Kevin Whitaker, who's a metal grunge singer.
Yeah.
And we're going to just throw them together and see what they come up with, and mix and match the styles and come up with something really, really unique for the area.
Dude, I'm personally, I'm a huge fan of Cody Tyler.
Cody Tyler's amazing.
Yeah, I got to open for him for it was a CPMA showcase.
Oh yeah.
Back oh my gosh.
That's like a year ago now.
Yeah. Crap. I was trying to think of anyhow, it was at HMAC in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I hadn't really listened to him up until that point, and I got to open for him, and I was floored. Like,
he's got some incredible music.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's everything that I want to hear.
Yeah, and I think technically he's still he was on the new, or he's best country singer on the new artist, because that's a new band.
Yeah.
And
he's not in my category. He's not new band artist.
Oh.
But he's in 3 other categories, I think.
I think he's in 4. I think he's the most nominated candidate this season.
And it's
he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully he wins one of those awards, because I'm rooting for him. And
I could see him walking away with all of them.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible.
That would be incredible. Well, with all that said, we have opportunities now to advertise on this podcast. So if you have a new song coming out, and I know we were kind of talking about promotion earlier, if you want to advertise your new singles, you can do that on this show. I have audio and visual slots to be taken up, and you can go check that out at our website, CoreyRosenProductions.com. That's CorYrosen Productions.com, where you can find out more about me, the work I do outside of this podcast, and all 141 guests prior to Cody Ross Smith. With all that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you guys later. Bye.